Hello and welcome to this year's first episode of Unstoppable. We have a packed show for you today and we cannot wait to hit the ground running with content for all of our GW sports fans this semester. Joining me here at the desk is your very own Parker Jensen. Parker, what do we have going on this episode?
Well, thank you, Isabelle. So happy to be finally at the big desk. We have a great show for you today. We'll start off by giving you an in-depth analysis on the men's and women's soccer teams, volleyball, and water polo. Then we'll transition to our rundown segment, giving you a quick look at golf, tennis, and cross country. And finally, we invite our very own Savanah Gajda out here to take over my former segment, Hot Takes, and to give you the games that you just can't miss.
All of this and more on Unstoppable.
Let's start off with men's soccer, but before I go into this season, a little context. The team had a down year after 3 straight years above 500, going 5, 9, and 3. Their main flaw was on the road, as they lost 6 out of their 9 games, winning only once. There was a stretch where things were looking up for the men, though, before dropping their last 3 games to solidify a disappointing season. This year was supposed to be different. With the addition of 6 new freshmen and the veteran presence of 7 seniors on the team, there was a sort of optimism that the season would signify a shift away from poor performances and disappointing losses. What we got, though, was a little more of the same. For a team this experienced, a 2-5-1 record, losing to teams like Rhode Island and UMBC seems a bit uncharacteristic. It's not like there haven't been signs of hope. They did get 2 shutout wins against Liberty and Brown, but both of those teams are also below 500. The complications with this team lie in a lack of distribution of wealth and ugly losses against bad teams. GW fell to a 3-4 UMBC team by 3. The same with Portland in a game where the Colonials dealt a goose egg. They did tie American, so yay, but American hasn't won a game all season and only tied once. See the problem? I want this team to do well, I really do, but when it's only seniors contributing to points on the scoreboard and being blown out by sub-500 teams, the hope seems to be dwindling. Hear what this is Sam Belsky to give his take on the season. Sam, what exactly is going on with the team this year?
You know, honestly, you kind of put a bad spin on it, not going to lie. I think this is more of a team in transition. Like you said, there's a lot of new people and a lot of old people, so we're kind of in that in-between stage where there's like not quite the majority of the team in their prime. But this team is starting to really pull it together, and they have lost their last 3, but if you look closer, their middle one, that middle loss there, came in double overtime, and they lost 1-0. So that's pretty impressive that they could get it that far, especially since the following game, they lost 1-0 to Villanova, who is 5-2-1 on the season. And so like you mentioned the records of the teams that they beat, those are the kinds of teams that they're losing to as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to put a bad spin on the team. I know it wasn't, the most optimistic monologue ever, but I mean, they have had good wins. And to start off the season, they were 2-2-1, so it's not like they didn't get to some sort of hope, or they were at 500 at some point, right? But what I'm concerned about is that the team doesn't seem to have a lot of chemistry. I mean, you're looking at players where they don't seem to match their positions. I mean, there's only a hand select players that are actually true to their position. Others kind of have to mold into positions that they weren't really in before, right? And so, sure, you have a lot of potential on this team. I mean, 7 freshmen is really good, and it gives a lot of optimism to where this team's going. I just think right now the cohesion of this team, if you don't fix this now, it's going to be a bad season.
Yeah, I think that they are starting to make those fixes, though. Because, like I said, the last couple games were losses, but they were improvements in play. Goalkeeper Noah Lubin is back from an injury at the beginning of the season. He's a senior, but he got his first collegiate start this season. So kind of it'll be interesting to see how he kind of shores up that back line. You saw that defense improving when he returned, just losing by 1 goal against good teams. And then, like you said, there's a lot of players that aren't really set into one position. I mean, even if you look at their roster, they say M/F, not just forward or anything. There's only one person who's really just that solid forward, and he's a freshman. So I think that going forward this season and in the coming years, I think that this team's going to be doing a lot better.
Well, I mean, to wrap it up, Sam, I mean, like you said, there is a lot of potential here with this team, and to Parker's point, there are 7 experienced players on this team, and it's actually quite unacceptable at the rate they're playing. So, I mean, what do you think? Do you think they can turn things around at this point in the season? Is it too late? Is there potential? Should we be optimistic? I mean, what are we going to say?
Honestly, I would probably say it's about 50-50 on which direction they go. They could very easily crash and burn, but if they get these things right, then they could have a really good season going forward.
All right, Sam, thank you so much for joining us at the desk. Isabelle, what we got for women's soccer?
Despite the shaky start with a loss to William & Mary in the first game of the season, the women's soccer team is kicking it right back into action with a 5-1 record, with 2 tied matches against the University of Maryland and Towson University. After defeating our crosstown rivals at American University 2-1, the team continued on to beat Liberty University 3-2. After 2 competitive tied matches, the team rallied against Bucknell University, beating them 2-1, and then continuing on to beat UMBC as well as LaSalle in the first A10 opener. Sophomores Rachel Sorkin and Maria Pareja have been carrying the torch throughout the course of the season, maintaining a strong presence on the field, with Sorkin carrying the most assists to date and Pareja with 15 of her 17 shots on goal, as well as being named the A10 Co-Player of the Week. As the team continues on throughout the A10s, the question of whether or not the team will continue on with this momentum remains in the air. Let's turn it over to our very own Noah, who got the chance to interview both Pareja and Megan McCormick.
Hi there, I'm Noah Van Oshowitz for GWTV Unstoppable. I'm here with women's soccer team captain Megan McCormick. Megan, in this, your final season at GW, do you feel any pressure to perform?
I'm not sure. I would say I feel pressure. Definitely being a 5th year, you're a lot older and you have a lot more experience than a lot of the other girls on the team. I kind of see it more as sharing my experience and helping the other girls through different things that I've already been through, and just kind of helping teach people when I can. So I don't really see it as pressure. I kind of just take it in stride and just take it day by day and game by game and hopefully get where I want to go.
Okay. The team is playing very well right now, but a clean sheet has eluded you this season. Is that something you guys have been working on in practice, or is it just something that doesn't really concern you at this point?
I mean, getting a clean sheet is definitely awesome and definitely something we as a back line want to have. But also, I think our main goal is winning games. So definitely getting a clean sheet means that you're a tight, solid defense, and that's something that we do want to work on, and we have been working on at practice. But ultimately, that's not our main goal. It's to win and get to the conference tournament and win that A10 championship.
And now I'm here with sophomore Maria Pareja. Maria, you have been on an amazing run of form right now, winning A10 Player of the Week, Colonial of the Week. How does this feel to be on such a great run of form?
Thank you. Yeah, it definitely feels really good. I feel like I worked really hard over the summer to just try and improve from last season, but like at the end of the day, like soccer's a team sport, and so even though it's like great to get all these accolades, I think the fact that we're like winning and doing really well is much more important to me though than mine.
And how do you feel some of the younger players on this team, such as yourself, have integrated into this somewhat young team?
Yeah, we definitely do have a young team, and I think like each year it gets better and better at like integrating, I guess I would say, and it always takes a little bit of time to kind of get adjusted to that, but I think as time goes on, and because we had those non-conference games first, it allowed for that adjustment period.
For GWTV Unstoppable, I'm Noah Van Oshowitz.
The men's water polo team is coming into the season with ambitious goals, seeking to gain yet another 3rd straight Mid-Atlantic Conference title, as well as gain traction with the NCAA after ranking number 11 nationally last season. Going 9-3 this season, the team came out of the Bucknell Invitational, winning both matches against Johns Hopkins, winning 16-7 and 21-10 against Salem. Senior Andrew Mavis and junior Andreas Levy have been holding down the fort so far this season, carrying the team's high stats for scoring and the most points this season, with Mavis scoring 31 and Andreas scoring 45. As the team prepares to go on to the Mid-Atlantic Conference, the question is and remains, will the team be able to maintain this momentum? Joining us at the desk, you know her, you love her, Savanah Gajda, with everything we need to know about water polo. Savanah, what do you have on this water polo team?
Well, guys, I actually had the chance to interview some of the players, Andrew Mavis and Antonin Krahet, as well as their coach, Barry King, and I learned a lot about them. So we learned that this year they have a target on their backs, which we already knew considering they were such a high-ranked team last year. They lost to UCLA in the NCAA Championship quarterfinals, which is a huge accomplishment for them. For this team to get so high up in the rankings is great. But because of that, the other teams know they're good, and they know that they brought in a lot of transfers and new freshmen, international students as well. So they've been recruiting great, but now other teams know that they're out for that ring and they're coming for them.
Well, Savannah, I want to note this 9-3 record here. They did really well at the beginning of the season. They swept teams like Air Force. You're talking Salem again, University of Redlands. They did really well. They went on to Princeton Invitational, went 3-1 there. But at the Bucknell Invitational, they did drop to St. Francis Brooklyn and Harvard as well. They've had some good games against some ranked teams. We talk about a Princeton in there, but what can you say about the momentum of this team going forward? I know they're ranked. They have that target on their backs. Do you think that's getting to them in any sort of way?
I don't think it's that. I just think it's that, it is tough to travel every single weekend. And they did kind of slow down, but they've been facing really tough opponents. You have 2 ranked teams here. St. Francis was ranked 14, and Harvard was ranked number 12. Now, the weekend before at the Princeton Invitational, they went 3-1, and they beat number 12 ranked Princeton in a very tight overtime win. It was 14-13, and this was a very important game because it was a rematch of last year's NCAA game. So they won that by a hair. So it was really close, and I think just going into the Bucknell Invitational, they might have just been really tired. So they kind of did slow down, and now they need to get back up when they compete in the Mid-Atlantic Water Polo Conference games.
And Parker, like you said, given the history of the team, I mean, they were ranked 11th nationally last season. They finished 3rd in the Mid-Atlantic Conference. I mean, it's a great record. And then, like you said earlier, they have junior Andres Levi, who is scoring 45 goals this year, along with 95 assists. You have 2 other leading seniors, Andrew Mavis, Jordan Blosser. So, I mean, what's up with this leadership? I mean, shouldn't they be carrying the team along?
I think they have a lot of leadership, and what's good about this team is that they also have a lot of great freshmen. Chris Lee and Antonin Kralit have been standout freshmen so far. They both have 8 goals. Chris Lee has 31 assists, and Antonin has 18 assists. So it's good to have those freshmen who have that confidence and are stepping up to the plate. And Andres and Andrew are also very established players. Another standout is Jordan Blosser. He's a senior. I believe he's the 3rd leading scorer on the team. So he's also been great. So it's not just those 2 players, Andres and Andrew, carrying the team. I think they do have a lot of support from the rest of the players as well.
So just kind of wrap things up here, as they go on to yet another treacherous season, I mean, you're still talking about ranked teams considering where they are. What do you think they need to do going forward to make sure that they don't lose momentum, that they continue on this winning streak that we know they can get on?
Well, the thing with them is that they have a tough schedule. They have a lot of good ranked teams, so you just have to keep that energy up. You can't ever lose focus on their goal, which is to get even farther than the quarterfinals like they did last year. And it's good because their coach Barry King, he runs a tight ship, but he's also very supportive of his athletes inside and outside of the pool. He encourages them to succeed in the classrooms as well. So he keeps them on track. And I think now it's just a matter of cleaning up small errors because they are a great team. They're very talented and skillful. And now just stepping up to the plate and making sure that they beat those ranked teams and don't drop anymore in the rankings.
All right, well, Savannah, thank you so much for joining us
Thank you.
at the desk. Isabelle, what do you have on volleyball?
The women's volleyball team started the season off right, defeating Howard University 3-0, with leading seniors Skylar Ayat and Jamison Lee anchoring the team to victory, as well as maintaining a consistent on-the-court presence, with Ayat scoring 30 points overall and Lee with 45 assists, as well as being named Colonial of the Week in the beginning of September. While the team suffered a couple losses against teams like University of Miami, Florida Gulf Coast University, and Auburn University, the team picked up its slack, winning against both the University of Albany and USC Upstate 3-0. The team has recently suffered more losses against Texas State and UTSA over the past weekend, leaving with a 6-7 overall record. We wish them luck as they head into this weekend against George Mason University. I had the chance to interview Jamison Lee and got a deeper look into what the season looks like ahead. Right next to me here is Jamison Lee. We're going to talk a little bit about the women's volleyball this season. So can you give us a little overview of what the season looked like last year and how it's comparing to this year?
Yeah, last year, we didn't do as well as we wanted to. We ended up, I think, barely missing the tournament, and just there's some crucial games that we missed out on. And so this year, I think we're really focused on winning those crucial games, the ones that can really determine our spot in the A10 poll. And so we're really just kind of focused on the little teams, not necessarily the little teams, but the teams like who aren't at the top always. So like George Mason, LaSalle, BCU, like all the teams that we can compete with and interchange those spots.
And so how have you guys compared from last season to this season? What's different?
I would say our team culture is different for sure. We all really just have one goal that we're focused on, and that's just like fighting for each other, playing for each other, and just really giving our all for one another.
And so going along with that, you're a senior now on the team. You definitely have a greater leadership role on the team. So can you just talk a little bit about that and maybe offer some support and advice for new players on the team?
Yeah, being a senior now, it's really exciting, and there is all that, you know, pressure like to perform and all that stuff, but I don't really think of it as that. I just think of going and playing with like people that I love. I just want to give my best for them and just, you know, be at my top performance for them. And so the advice I can offer is just like find a team, love them, and then you'll want to give your all for them.
Great. And so going into the remainder of the season, what are you looking for? What are your expectations?
My expectations would be to be playing our best volleyball. You know, preseason was long, non-conference was long. We learned everything that we needed to do, and so just putting all those pieces together so we can be that good that we know we can be.
Great. And so we're looking forward to seeing how they play going into this weekend. Thanks so much, Jamison.
Thank you.
All right. Coming up, Isabelle and I will be giving you more recaps of your favorite sports teams as we enter the rundown. Stay with us.
All right, we'll be ready in about 5 minutes.
I'll be ready. While these guys finish up, I got a few things I want to show you. Come with me. Over the summer, we gave a lot of things a new fresh coat of paint and a new look, including the Vern Shuttle Express. Take a look at this. Oh, there you are. I thought I'd lost you. Come on with me. I want to show you the new all-you-can-eat dining option out at the Mount Vernon campus. Hey, I can charge my phone in here. I'm stuffed. You got to try the mac and cheese. It's great. I got one more stop to make. I got to get my gear for the year. Let's go to the bookstore. You can't have too many GW ties. You need to get out in your buff and blue. I want to see at all the events and the games, raising GW high. One of the things I heard from a lot of our students is we need more community space, a place to eat, study, hang out with friends. Like this one. This is one of our new spaces. We need to get going. Got to get back. This is going to be an exciting year.
And action.
Welcome back.
The GW men's golf team recorded their best score in the third and final round of their season's opener at the Marshall Invitational in Huntington, West Virginia. Sophomore Luis Alfonso Preciado has taken the lead this season, scoring a career best at 6 under par at the Marshall Invitational and continuing on to be the top finisher at the VCU Janney Invitational. The team has big shoes to fill after securing a third-place slot in last season's A10 championship, as well as losing their decorated member Logan Lowe after him winning the A10 championship, going on to wrap up his historic career as the most decorated golfer in program history. We're looking forward to seeing what the team can do for the remainder of this season as they return to the course October 7th for the West Virginia Invitational. Good luck to them.
Putting down the clubs and putting on the spikes now for men's cross country, their season's taken a significant dip from last year. You might remember our coverage with runners like Andy Weber sitting in the spotlight, but after the departure of numerous seniors, the team looks like a shell of their former selves. Jackson Cronin was the biggest contributor from last year, poised to crack the upper echelon of the A10s. But out for the season, the men have to find a way to get back on track. Mind the pun. Rather than the veterans taking the reins, it's actually the new guys with the best times. At the Mount St. Mary's Invitational, freshmen Juan Musoko and Alex Longaway have been carrying the team with the two best times of the Colonials, finishing with 16 minutes and 2.51 seconds and 16 minutes and 11.82 seconds respectively. James Glockemeyer, another freshman, also finished right behind them, off by just 11 seconds. In fact, it's when you get to the sixth best time for the Colonials that you see anyone older than a sophomore. Not good for the upperclassmen, sure, but these young guys mean a whole lot of potential going forward.
Turning it over to a team whose potential has already been met, the women's cross-country team has been leading the pack. Currently ranked at 15th overall in the Mid-Atlantic rankings, the women took their talents to Mount St. Mary's Invitational, where Suzanne Damaheim placed 3rd overall, just missing out on her 2nd place time from a year ago. The rest of the team placed 4th in the event. Things really got exciting when the women took a trip south to take on the Patriots at the George Mason Invitational. Again, Suzanne Danaheim placed 1st in the event, and the Colonials almost took 1st overall, coming within 3 points of Richmond. 3 runners finished in the top 10, with 3 more finishing in the top 30. And Margaret Coogan and Jenna Pressman both ran for their PRs. We wish them the best of luck as they head into the Paul Short Run on October 5th.
After making it to the A10 quarterfinals last season, the men's tennis team has high expectations as they kick off their season at the Joe Hunt Invitational at the Naval Academy, competing against past A10 competitors, including St. Bonaventure, as well as our crosstown rivals, Georgetown and George Mason. We look forward to covering them this season and wish them the best of luck.
After a long-fought battle in last season's A10 semifinals, the women's tennis team heads into the upcoming season with a stacked schedule. First years Luciana Kunkel and Sarah Bodois made an impressive mark in a doubles match at the Bedford Cup, winning 7-5. The team travels to Wilmington, North Carolina for the UNCW invite. We wish them luck. We're going to take a quick commercial break now, but when we come back, we'll be joined by our very own Savanah Gajda for our Hot Takes segment, as well as the games that you just can't miss.
This is the all-new GW shuttle bus for our Vern Express and VSTC Express, making the same stops on the same schedules, but with some major upgrades. Oh look, here you are now. Look how happy you are. This is one of your drivers. Look how happy he is. Smile and wave at him. Learn your driver's name. What do all those buttons do? Everything. What does the most important button do? Wi-Fi. If you're on the shuttle, you're connected. You'll be tweeting about the smooth ride, snapping about our leather seats, and everything will be hashtag seatbelts, hashtag air conditioning, hashtag blessed. Every bus is full of USB charging stations. Every shuttle is equipped with a bike rack. We can get every GW student where they need to go, and you'll always find your ride now that we're decked out in a beautiful bumper-to-bumper buff and blue. Where can you hop on these wonderful new shuttles? You can pick up the Mount Vernon shuttle at Funger Hall or at the Red Cross building. Heading to VSTC, we'll pick you up at Funger and stop at 4 VSTC buildings before heading back to Foggy Bottom. So hop aboard our new shuttle buses. Sleep easy and dream about what really matters. That deli bagel.
It's time for Hot Takes. I'm your host, Savanah Gajda. The rules here are simple. I'll ask a question for our 2 anchors, and they will get in heated arguments with each other for your viewing pleasure. Let's kick things off with men's soccer, who have not been faring well this season, with a current record of 2-5-1 and going on a 3-game losing streak as of last Tuesday's loss to Villanova. This team has only scored 6 total goals in 8 games. What needs to be done in order to improve the disappointing outcomes we have seen so far?
I mean, I guess I can start. You look at this team, there's a lot of different things that this team needs to focus on, but I think primarily it's a seniority on this team that's just completely wrecking their entire season. Now, granted, they did go 2-2-1 to start off the season, but they're on a 3-game losing streak right now, and it's not acceptable when you lose to teams that are below 500. Sure, you shut out Liberty and Brown, good to you, but again, they're also sub 500. They're not doing well in their own conference, their own division. And you look at that American game where they tied 0-0, that went into overtime, they still had to keep going. Americans 0-6-1. The only tie that they had was against our team. So I think there's a lot of things that needs to be done, but it's primarily the seniors that need to get things moving. I mean, there's some freshmen that are trying to move up the ranks, but for the most part, there seems to be a lot of inconsistency with just player mobility, who's in the right position. So I think if going forward, it just needs to be the seniors trying to build up this freshman, because I think as of right now, I think the season's kind of out of shot for them.
Well, Parker, I mean, I understand your frustrations. I really do. I mean, you're right. They have an experienced team, and they should be winning against teams like, I mean, Rhode Island. George Mason is a very good team, but I mean, a 3-game losing streak is pretty unacceptable. but we can't lose hope. They're a team that's in transition. They have 6 new freshmen. That is a lot of potential to work with. And as well as their senior goalkeeper, Noah Lubin. This is going to be his 4th year on the team. So I think that, being positive, and the team still has a couple games to go. They have a pretty large remainder of the season. So we'll see how things go this season. But I think that we should stay optimistic.
All right, well, Parker, I like your technical aspect of this, but I'm going to have to give this one to Isabelle. I love her positivity and that optimistic mindset. You won this one, Isabelle. Moving on to women's volleyball, whose season has been a roller coaster ride with every couple of games transitioning from a losing streak to a winning streak, and most recently, back to a losing streak. What issue mostly impacts their lack of victorious consistency?
So I think the biggest issue with volleyball this season is that they're seniors on the team. They're doing really well. They're carrying the team along, but it's those new freshman players that really need to be highlighted for the rest of the season. I mean, they have a 6-7 record, so that means that it's really up in the air for where they end up for the remainder of the season. So I think really highlighting those new players that have a lot of potential on the court, I think that can really turn around their season and make it more of a winning season than this shaky 6-7 record.
I think I'm going to agree with Isabelle on this one. I think you can kind of equate this team to that of what we saw from the women's basketball team last year. You had these seniors that were already in position. They've shown experience. They've shown that they can do what they need to do on the court, but you have this new group of freshmen. How do you integrate these teams together and these units together? I think experience is big, but what we saw from last year too is that if the pieces aren't being put together in the right place, it's not going to work. And the women's basketball team is kind of in a similar spot. They were sub 500. They were close to getting even, but they were still falling below time and time again. I am optimistic for this team. You look at Jamison Lee, she's doing pretty well this year, but I think for the most part, take a play from the women's basketball playbook there and just try to make sure that everyone's kind of cohesive, working together. Make sure egos are in check to make sure that the experience and the newcomers are working together.
I think you guys made some really good arguments there. I'm going to have to give this one to Parker. He was a lot more elaborate, but yeah, definitely strengthen those freshman players and the rookies and build on those who are already established. Today's final question is one that has caused me a lot of pain, sleepless nights, and uneasiness. So now I need Parker and Isabelle to help me settle this once and for all. Parker, Isabelle, my question for you is, who is your starting quarterback? Daniel Jones or Eli Manning?
Well, Savannah, I think that's a bad question. We don't have a football team here. But if we do have to answer this question, it's got to be Daniel Jones, right? I mean, you look at Eli Manning, sure, he was good. He beat my Patriots twice in the Super Bowl, but we're not going to talk about that. But Eli Manning has carried this team for a while, but he's getting old. He can't play to the same consistency that he had last year. He has so many turnovers, a lot of interceptions. He looks slow on the field, too. He doesn't have the vision he used to have in his earlier years. And so I think it's finally time to pass the torch over to Daniel Jones. And I don't see Eli Manning going anywhere else in this league, quite frankly, just because of his lack of vision, his lack of mobility. His arm strength has been dwindling as well. So, and if you look at Daniel Jones, he scored quite a bit. He silenced Baker Mayfield, too, who, again, is this newcomer as well, who had all this anticipation. He's not playing well. And Daniel Jones, with all the criticism in the world, taking this first game and doing as well as he did, I think there's a lot of optimism for Daniel Jones. And if I had to take him over Eli Manning, I would do it in a heartbeat any day.
Well, coming from Pittsburgh and being a diehard Steelers fan, this is a bit uncomfortable for me to talk about. But I will have to disagree with you. I don't think it's fair to Eli that he's just had this position that he has had for so long stolen from him, and just for some rookie to come and take it right out of his hands. And I just don't think it's fair. But for someone like Eli Manning, who has done so much for the team, the league in general, I just think, it's honestly a disgrace. I think the Eli era is not over yet, and I don't know. I think Daniel Jones still has a lot to prove. The experience that Manning brings to the table is pretty incomparable. So I will have to say that Eli Manning still is in my book.
All right, well, I'm going to have to give this one to Parker. Parker, I do agree with you, and here's why. As a loyal Giants fan, I've been with Eli since the start. I've watched him beat your Patriots twice, the only quarterback to beat Tom Brady in a Super Bowl twice. Not once, twice.
Okay.
And honestly, though, I do think it is the end of an era. You know, his older brother Peyton retired. I think he should follow in his footsteps. And the Giants, they need to grow, you know. We've got a lot of talent on the team. We've got Saquon. And we just really need to build. And I think Eli's had a very respectable career. And now I think it's time for Daniel Jones, Danny Dimes, to step up and bring us another ring. And now for the fans at home who are already raising high, here are the games you just can't miss. On October 3rd, join us on the Vern at 3 p.m. to support our women's soccer team in some conference play against UMass. Bring your buff and your blue and be ready to raise high. After that, on Friday, October 11th, take the Vex from the Vern to the Charles E. Smith Center and watch our women's volleyball team face off against A10 conference opponent, St. Louis. On Tuesday, October 15th, come support your GW men's soccer team in their DC rivalry against Howard University. Both teams have been struggling this season and will be yearning to add a win to their records. Get your foam finger and wave it on the Vern at 2 p.m. Back to you guys.
Well, as much as we want to talk about the future of Daniel Jones, looks like that's all we have time for in today's episode.
Don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at GW-TV.
Or check out more packages and exclusive content like our interview with the cross-country team and the tennis team over on our Instagram at GWTV_unstoppable.
We'll see you next time. The thing is, the Steelers have just been bad this entire year. It's weird because Big Ben has regressed so much too, and now he's gone. Okay. So like
Elbow
he's
injury.
Yeah, so he's injured. And he's talking about AB leaving, which is a completely another. I don't even want to talk about AB.
He's the lost cause.
Like
Listen, okay, born and raised Pittsburgher, you are talking to right now, okay? This is my team that you're talking about, okay? I take this personally. Not only do I take it personally, this is a part of my everyday life, and I'm upset. I'm upset that they're going 0-3. So
I would
just
be
be
upset.
careful what you're saying.
You got a Giants fan, a Patriots fan, and a Steelers fan. I don't think this is a good
See,
mix.
it's nice
You know what?
too
There's
because
not enough room at the desk for all of this.
see, it's nice because I'm the one that's winning in this conversation because the Patriots are still the best team in the NFL, and no one's
Which
going to beat them.
quarterback
All right.
beat Tom Brady
All right.
twice in a Super Bowl? How
Who's
many
gone?
times do I have to say
He's
that?
gone, though.
He's not gone.
He's not
still
there
on the
anymore.
team. He's still on the roster.
Listen. Tom Brady kisses his kids, okay?
There's nothing wrong. He's a loving parent. There's nothing wrong
We can
with
talk.
that.
We can talk all we want about Tom Brady, but the question is, why are we even questioning the Steelers in the first place?
Because they're 0-3.
But
No,
6
they're not
rings.
0-3.
We have 6
Aren't they
rings.
3 and 4?
The Patriots? Or,
Steelers.
sorry, Steelers? No,
Steelers.
Steelers are 0-3 right
They're
now.
0-3.
Yeah, they're 0-3
But
right now.
I'm thinking of something else.
you know what? I think this discussion is just starting to become a personal
I think
attack
Juju's your
on
last
me.
hope.
I think you're just mad because the Patriots are doing better than both of your teams. I'm just saying.
You know what?
The Patriots are the Bama of professional football.
Exactly.
They're boring to watch.
They're fun to...
It's a shutout every game.
To tell you guys to shut the f*** up.
Oh, okay. Oh, we're good now. Okay, that's fine.